My fiancé demanded I give her parents a share of my company as a wedding gift, so I walked away quietly and watched their illusion of power collapse. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. We met at a downtown startup mixer. Vivian had pitch decks sharper than her heels. I was drawn to her ambition. We bonded fast, trading business ideas like currency. She praised my hustle, called my firm our future empire. I believed her at the time. I thought we were building something together. The signs were subtle, her teasing about prenups, her questions about equity. I chalked it up to curiosity, not strategy. I was wrong. Vivian met my parents over brunch. She was gracious, affectionate but hyper-focused on my firm. She asked my dad what percentage of my company he thought was family appropriate. He laughed it off. I should have taken it seriously. Later, she joked about us being co-founders in love. I thought it was cute, even romantic. But Derek, a lawyer friend, raised a brow. Watch your contracts, he said casually. I dismissed it. Love wasn't supposed to need a lawyer. Vivian brought up the idea again while choosing table linens, just a symbolic 5 for my parents, she said. I blinked, thinking she was kidding. She wasn't. I tried brushing it off, suggesting we focus on the wedding, but she doubled down, said it was about honoring her family. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Derek texted, you good? He'd heard the same story before from clients who lost control. I didn't reply. At her engagement party, Vivian made a toast to family partnerships, business and personal, she said, locking eyes with me. Laughter followed, but I froze. Later, I asked what that meant as she brushed it off, claiming it was a joke. But her father cornered me, talking about future decisions and shared assets. I laughed nervously and walked away. That night, I didn't sleep. I started scanning our conversations, our agreements, wondering what I'd missed. She started asking to see financial documents just for planning, she claimed. I hesitated, said they were confidential. Her mood shifted. I thought we were a team, she said, coldly. That night, I found my laptop slightly ajar. Files recently accessed. I asked if she's used it. She denied it too quickly. Derek advised, change passwords now. I did. It felt paranoid, but something was off. Trust shouldn't need surveillance. Love shouldn't require encryption. Vivian proposed signing the wedding venue contract under my business name for tax benefits. She said I refused. She sulked for days, claiming I didn't trust her. She told her mom I was controlling. Word got back to me. I confronted her. She cried, turned it into a guilt trip. Derek called again. You're being groomed into a merger, not a marriage. I wanted to deny it, but deep down, I knew he wasn't wrong. Vivian gave me an ultimatum over dinner shares by Friday or no wedding. She smiled like it was a business negotiation. I stayed silent, nodding, but inside I was done. That night I called Derek. Drop the split, I said. He didn't ask questions. She thought silence meant surrender. I was planning my exit. The next morning, I moved personal assets, revoked her access, and scheduled a private meeting with my board. Quietly, I prepared for war. She pushed again, this time at a family dinner. He's reconsidering, she told her parents. I said nothing. Her father clapped my shoulder, praising my growth. I forced a smile. Later I told Vivian, we need to talk. She kissed me, trying to disarm the tension. You'll see, it's the best move, she whispered. I didn't respond. In my head, I was already done. I just needed the timing and witnesses. The end was near. She just didn't know it. We met with a wedding planner and her attorney. Vivian said they were helping with contracts, but it wasn't about flowers or venues. It was about business clauses. Standard prenup, she said sweetly. I scanned the document. Hidden in legalese, a clause granting her parents' board advisory rights. I handed it back. We're not signing anything today, she frowned. Don't you trust me? I stood. That's exactly why we won't sign. Her mask slipped. She didn't argue, just smirked. She showed up at my office unannounced with cupcake sweet on the outside. Just a peace offering, she said. But her eyes scanned my desk, my calendar. I offered coffee, kept the meeting short. When she left, I checked my office camera log. She'd lingered outside my server room. I locked it down, notified it. Derek said, she's not backing off. You ready? I nodded. I wasn't just ending an engagement, I was defending everything I'd built. She cornered me at our apartment. All charm and regret. I've pushed too hard, she said. Let's reset. I watched her closely. No apology, just rebranding the tactic. I said I needed time alone. She hesitated, then left. I called Derek and changed the lease. That night I packed her things into boxes. No drama, no shouting, just a quiet extraction. This wasn't love, this was damage control. I was finally cutting the line clean. Vivian returned the next day to find her key didn't work. I met her in the lobby. It's over, I said. She looked shocked, then furious. You're throwing this away. I stayed calm. You already did. Security watched quietly as she stormed out. Later that night, she texted me, you'll regret this. I didn't respond. I backed up my files, changed legal contacts, and called my insurance. War wasn't coming, it had already started. And I was ready. 3 days later, Vivian sent a bouquet to my office, white lilies, her favorite. The card said, let's end this with grace. Derek raised an eyebrow. It's bait. I agree. We met at a cafe, neutral ground. She cried, claimed her parents pressured her. I said nothing, just tapped my phone recorder. Her voice cracked. They said, if I didn't get shares, they'd cut me off. I asked one question, were you ever going to tell me that? Vivian paused, looked down. I didn't think you'd understand. I saved the audio. Later, I sent it to Derek. Documented manipulation, he said. That night, I found out she'd contacted my junior partner offering dinner and a business talk. He declined, forwarded the message. It was coordinated, not desperation strategy. I called Derek. She's going after the team now. We moved fast, rewrote roles. For his equity changes, if she wanted war, I'd show her what a tactician really looked like. Vivian started a smear campaign online. Subtle posts about men who fear commitment, tagged with wedding hashtags. Friends sent me screenshots. I stayed silent. Public responses would only validate her narrative. Instead, Derek filed a cease and desist. The moment it hit her inbox, she deleted the posts, but the damage control had already begun. Mutual contacts grew cold. When even asked, you really threw her out over a few shares? I smiled. No, I threw her out for lying. Her parents called me directly twice. I let it ring. Then a certified letter arrived, consideration for breach of verbal commitment. I laughed. There was no contract, just coercion. Derek crafted a surgical response, ending with cease contact immediately. Still, her father showed up at my office. Security turned him away. I saw him through the glass, red-faced, yelling at no one. Vivian wasn't just a problem. I was dealing with an entire family who thought my life was theirs. Vivian tried one last time, sent a package to my building's concierge. Inside, photos from our early days, a handwritten note. I miss us, it read. I didn't open the rest. I gave it to Derek, archive it. That night, I received a voicemail, her crying, begging. Then cursing me. I saved that too. Each attempt was another brick in my legal wall. I wasn't reacting, I was recording. This wasn't reconciliation. It was reputation warfare. I knew the playbook. She reached out to my sister, claimed I was spiraling, said I needed family intervention. My sister, skeptical but kind, called me. I explained everything, sent her the audio, the screenshots. She listened in silence, then said, she's manipulative, Nate, and she's scared. It was true. Vivian was losing grip. The lies weren't working, her allies were thinning. I wasn't chasing justice, I was building evidence quietly, thoroughly. It wasn't about revenge. It was about making sure she couldn't hurt anyone else. Vivian's cousin messaged me out of nowhere, said he was sorry. She's done this before, he typed. She got another guy to fund her project. Then ghosted him. I asked for proof. He sent screenshots, texts, photos, even a bank transfer. Derek and I compiled everything. Patterns matter in court. Vivian wasn't just misguided, she was repeat behavior. I had what I needed, not for a lawsuit, but to clear the fog. My story wasn't paranoia, it was pattern. And now proof. Vivian's lawyer reached out, demanded a sit-down. Derek declined. We don't negotiate with emotional blackmail. Instead, we sent a binder, documented manipulations, texts, financial coercion. Silence followed. Then a sudden LinkedIn update. Vivian pivoted to solo consulting. Her story changed. She spun it as a mutual decision. Personal growth. But insiders knew. Screenshots circled in private chats. Her reputation frayed from the inside. I didn't gloat. I just watched the empire she tried to build on me crumble quietly. I got a call from a journalist. Someone tipped them off about a startup couple gone sour. I declined to comment, but the next day, Vivian posted a vague blog titled, Unlove Becomes Control. It was full of insinuations. No names, but enough detail. Derek warned me, she's baiting you into a defamation response. I said nothing publicly. Instead, we filed a copyright claim for stolen brand language. Her post was removed. Silence hurts more than fire sometimes. Mutual friends began reaching out quietly. One by one, we didn't know. One said, she said you ghosted her. I forwarded them a Dropbox link, time-stamped messages, voice memos, contracts. No commentary, no spin, just facts. One friend replied, this changes everything. That's all I needed. No campaign. No revenge, just truth, delivered calmly. Over time, the whispers faded, the silence grew louder than her narrative. I wasn't rebuilding my image, I was just cleaning the mirror she tried to fog. I received a LinkedIn invite from Vivian. No message, just a silent ping. Derek laughed. She's testing the waters. I deleted it. But it made me wonder, what did she want now? Closure? Access? I'll never know. A week later, she reposted an article on healthy boundaries in relationships. The irony burned, but I didn't engage. My boundary was silence. And she finally seemed to get it. The digital echoes of her manipulation grew fainter. I was no longer her storyline. A startup forum thread popped up, red flags in business partner relationships. Someone shared my story anonymously. Comments flooded in. Sounds like Vivian. One user wrote, it wasn't me, I never posted it. But the truth had legs, people saw patterns. Someone even linked to her old pitch deck eerily similar to mine. Derek called it poetic justice. I just called it closure. She built her brand on deception. I built mine on resilience. And people were starting to notice the difference. Vivian tried launching a coaching service, Relationship Resilience for Women in Tech. It flopped. Reviews cited vague advice, poor planning. One former client emailed me, said Vivian name-dropped me during sessions. I forwarded it to Derek, he responded legally. Another cease and desist, another retreat. This time she didn't fight. Her silence spoke volumes. She burned too many bridges, played too many roles. People weren't buying the act anymore. Not as a founder. Not as a fiancé, and certainly not as a mentor. Then came the email, subject line, I'm sorry, short, flat, no explanation, no acknowledgement, just 3 sentences. You didn't deserve that. I was wrong, goodbye. I stared at it for a while. No rage, no relief, just an odd calm. I didn't reply. Closure doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes, it's a quiet confirmation that you were right to walk away. She finally knew it was over, not just legally, but emotionally. And for the first time, that was enough. Vivian faded. No more public posts, no messages, no drama, but one last ripple came through. A mutual friend saw her at a tech mixer, alone, polite, distant. Someone introduced her as the woman who lost that startup guy. She smiled, nodded, said nothing. That was the final twist. She wasn't fighting anymore, just existing with the consequences. I didn't celebrate, I just noted it. Quiet endings don't always feel satisfying, but they are, without a doubt, final. Months passed. One of her ex-clients reached out, wanted consulting help from me. I liked your approach, she said. Vivian talked about you a lot. I hesitated, then accepted. We met over coffee. No mention of the past, just plans, projections, growth. Afterward, she said, it's clear now who the builder was. That hit harder than expected. Vivian's shadow had finally lifted. Not because I erased her, but because I outlasted her narrative. I kept building as she kept unraveling. That's justice. I closed the last folder labeled Vivian on my drive, archived, done. Derek asked if I wanted to delete it. No, I said. Proof has its place. We laughed, but I knew it was more than digital storage. It was a reminder of how close I came to losing myself, of what I fought to protect, and of who I became because of it. This wasn't just about ending an engagement. It was about surviving a takeover attempt. I used to think love meant compromise, sacrifice, bending. Now I know it means boundaries. I felt lighter without the constant calculation. I focused on work not as escape, but as affirmation. My firm grew. My team trusted me more. I wasn't distracted anymore. Vivian's absence didn't leave a void, it made room. I didn't erase her, I evolved beyond her. Derek called me unshakable. I wasn't, but I was rooted now, in clarity, in resilience, in knowing I'd never trade myself again. I don't hate her, that surprised me. What I feel is distance, a clean, unburned space where anger used to sit. I've had real conversations since with people who see me, not just my brand. I mentor younger founders now. When they ask about love and business, I tell them protect your equity, financial and emotional. I keep a note on my desk, your vision isn't negotiable. Vivian taught me that, not through wisdom, through warning, and I won't forget the lesson. I expanded my firm, hired 3 new team members. One of them asked about the framed quote on my wall. A failed merger taught me everything. I told her, she laughed. Thinking it was a joke, I didn't correct her. My company was mine again fully, fiercely. Vivian's name didn't echo in the halls anymore. Just innovation, drive and collaboration. The scars didn't show, but the strength did. That was the legacy she accidentally gave me. I built past her. At a tech conference months later, I gave a keynote on founder boundaries. Afterwards, a woman approached me. Your story helped me leave a toxic investor. I thanked her, but inside something settled. This wasn't about Vivian anymore. It was about what I did next. I turned betrayal into a blueprint, fear into fuel. I wasn't just surviving, I was leading, not with bitterness, but with truth, the kind that scars you clean and builds you stronger than before. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.